Hello, welcome to my channel, Flourish Freely. I'm Justine Warnish, and on this video I am going to be telling y'all all about my home birth. So I have 4 babies, and I've had all of them unmedicated and all of them naturally. I've had 3 hospital births, and our last baby was a home birth. So I'm just gonna share my story with you guys, give you a little comparison and just my experiences and what I think, and also answer some pretty frequently asked questions. So let's first address home birth and COVID-19. I would definitely say that COVID-19 had a pretty significant impact on my decision to have a birth at home. I had always said, I won't have a home birth. I will just have them naturally in the hospital, and that's fine. That's good enough for me. And then comes in COVID-19 and just all of the things, my husband potentially not being able to be there, not being able to go to doctor's appointments, my children not being able to be there, not having people to come visit the baby afterwards. I just started to weigh all of my options and consider home birth when I thought about those things, because that is the most important thing to me. Also, the fact that I have had 3 other kids naturally, I was a little bit more brave and I knew what to expect, so a home birth didn't seem so far left field because I've done it 3 times before. So some frequently asked questions that I get about home birth, or that I've gotten personally, are: is it safe? How do you know that it's safe? What do you do if something goes wrong? What if you're at home and you're in the middle of birth and something goes wrong? To answer that question, midwives are medically trained. They don't just show up with a backpack of essential oils and whatever stigma crunchy materials you think that they have with them. They are trained medically. They have tanks of oxygen. They have things, monitors to check your baby's heart rate. They know how, and they have been trained how to handle a situation, God forbid that it go wrong while you are in the middle of labor and something does go wrong. They know how to turn breech babies. They know how to do all of these things. And I would suggest that if you are looking for a midwife, that you interview them and you ask them, do you know how to turn a breech baby? Ask them to share what they're trained in so that you feel comfortable and so that they as well are expressing their capabilities per if something were to go wrong. Next question would be okay, if something does go wrong and say we need to go to the hospital or something, then what? So beforehand, you also you meet with your midwife and y'all talk about, and you find the hospital that you would like to deliver at if things were to go wrong, or you just change your mind. B, the closest hospital to you. Now, let's flip and go on the other side as far as OB-GYNs and nurses and all of those things. They are also trained to handle all things that go wrong, and they have all of the equipment and other things that they need. But OB-GYNs are also trained on how to give C-sections. OB-GYNs are trained physicians, and that is amazing. God bless technology, God bless doctors. We need all of those things. But here's the deal: childbirth is a natural process. Our bodies were created to give birth, and we've been doing it from the beginning of time. Women have been growing babies and giving birth from the very beginning of time. In doing lots of research, I have also found that doctors are not trained in natural childbirth. A lot of doctors haven't even attended, in order to become a doctor, it's not part of their schooling or anything that they attend a natural childbirth with no intervention, no Pitocin, no medication, no pain medicine, none of the above. a lot of them had never actually seen natural childbirth. They're just trained on how to, like, when to give you medicine, when to give you pain medicine, what to do if this goes wrong. And if you're in that situation and you need all of that, that's great. But if you're choosing to have a natural childbirth and you are trusting someone who's never even experienced one to handle your birth, then, you know, that's when I would say do your research and find a doula or find a midwife, because doulas and midwives are trained and they have attended natural childbirths, and that there is no better person who can root you on and say, you were made for this. You were made to grow babies. You were made to birth babies, and you can do this. So also, to have a birth at home, or even to have any of my children unmedicated, I didn't just say, well, I'm gonna have my children unmedicated and I'll worry about it when I get there. Like I said, I did a lot of research. My husband and I actually took a Bradley class, which is the husband coach childbirth, like natural labor, and it was so informative and so helpful. So I would suggest do your research. If it's important to you, hire a doula, take some classes, read some books. Like, this is an amazing and incredible experience, an awesome thing that your body was created for, that your body can do. You grow a whole nother entire human being and organ, and then your body births them. That is incredible. Like, research it. I just it's so fascinating if you learn and you research. When you have a baby unmedicated and naturally, there are no artificial hormones or anything flooding the neurons in your brain, and your brain will actually release those hormones of oxytocin at a way higher level than you would experience if you were to receive pain medication. And those hormones help with bonding with your baby, recovering from postpartum. So in my personal experience, like I said, I've had 4 kids, and my recovery, like, the nurses every single time when I had my babies in the hospital were blown away. Like, I have my babies, and then as soon as I'm done birthing them, pretty much the pain is over. There's pain, but it's like the afterbirth cramps. That's gonna happen regardless whether you have a C-section, whether you have a medicated, not medicated, that's gonna happen. But as far as like recovery, I have my babies and I'm like, all right, I'm ready to take a shower, put my clothes on. Like, I'm standing up at the incubator, I'm watching them, weigh them, measure them, do all the things. I'm walking around, I'm moving, and I just I feel great. And I've had like a couple of the nurses be like, whoa, I've never seen anyone just like get up, like, are you okay? Like, what are you doing? Like, you are incredible. And it's just like, I was flooded with my natural hormones, and after I birthed my baby, like, it's just like, if you let your body do its natural thing and its natural process, then in my opinion, you're just gonna heal faster because your body is doing everything that it's supposed to be doing, and it's so good. So comparing these hospital births to a home birth, everything was great in the hospital. I told them from the very beginning, like, told my doctors, told the nurses, I want to have a natural, unmedicated birth. And they were very supportive, very great. I had amazing nurses who were like massaging me and rubbing me, and they knew what to say and they knew what to do. And the doctor came in and delivered my baby when it was time, and everything was smooth. It was great. I had no issues whatsoever. But then the home birth, now here's the difference between home birth and the hospital is I never had to pack my bag. I didn't have to get in the car and drive while I was having contractions. I didn't have to stand at a front desk for 20 minutes and sign in while I'm in the middle of labor. home birth, I was at home. I like got to nest and like knowing that I'm gonna bring this baby home. Like we had our house cleaned, deep cleaned, bathroom cleaned, deep cleaned. Now the midwives are amazing. They are there for you every step of the way. You meet with your midwife. For me personally, like I had doctor's appointments and they were very short, very unpersonal and impersonal, and then you go to the hospital, then you're with a nurse that you don't even know, and then your doctor comes in only when you're ready to push and delivers your baby. Now a midwife is at every single appointment. They get to know you. I got to bring my kids with me to my appointments. Towards the end, the midwife came to my home, got to know my kids, got to know my family, and it was just so intimate and so sweet getting to like get to know who's gonna deliver my baby. She was obviously a part of my pregnancy, a part of my life, a part of my birth, and it was just very like intimate. Yeah. So COVID-19, my kids wouldn't have been able to go to the doctor's office with me. My husband wouldn't have been able to go. My family wouldn't have been able to come in and see my baby as soon as I had them. And it was such a sweet, sweet, sweet experience. So like I said, I got to nest and deep clean and like know that like I am going to have this baby in this house, and I want it to be clean. I want it to be perfect. I set up my room. I set up a space for the baby. The midwife gives you a whole list of like, here's all the things you need, extra sheets, this. You get a whole binder helping you keep up with your meals and your water intake and all the things that you need at home to make it comfortable. I just got to set up my room to just make it cozy. I had worship music on, I had a diffuser going, I had my night light on, and it was just like dim lights, so peaceful. I was in my own room, in my own bed, in the comfort of my own home, and there is nothing like it. I thought that I would forever be like hospital birth all the way, because it's kind of like a vacation. I mean, when you have as many kids as I do, getting to like be in a hospital away from them for a couple of days and have someone else cook me food, like, duh, vacation. But the home birth, it was just so, so sweet. So I went into labor in the middle of the night. We called the midwife. She comes. I decided to do a water birth, which was a whole nother experience and just so amazing. And called the midwife. She came. My son, like as soon as I birthed the baby, we woke up my son and he got to come in the room. My sister got to come in the room, and everybody just like got to be a part of this really, really beautiful experience. And looking back, I just wish that I would have had all of my babies at home. It just was such an intimate and sweet experience versus the experience that I had in the hospital. If you just do your research and you study and you look at the statistics and you're prepared to have a baby either way, you will learn that it's a natural process. You are made for this. You can totally do this. But like anything else, you have to study and you have to practice and you have to know what you're talking about. And as far as statistics go, again, you are 4 times more likely to end up in a C-section giving birth in the hospital than you are at home, because at home there's no intervention, there's no medical intervention, there is no there's just all of these things that are kind of not really necessary unless there's medical reasons, real medical reasons, health reasons, whatever. There's things that are offered to you that aren't technically necessary in a hospital versus giving birth at home. So the chances and the statistics for you to end up in a C-section during a home birth are less likely to happen than they are if you give birth in the hospital. So if you guys have any other questions that you want to ask me about my experience, feel free to comment and ask me questions, and I will get back to you. But for the rest of this time, I just want to share my experience with you guys. I'm going to show you guys a quick little video that we had. It was just such a sweet intimate time, and I want to encourage all of you moms and all of you women out there that you are made for this. Your body was made for this. You were created for it, and it feels so good and so empowering to give birth to your baby naturally. And it is very hard, and I have such a different and unique outlook on it. And so I just want to share the way that I made it through these unmedicated births. Was Jesus. It was literally Jesus. I was in pain. It is so painful. But all I could think about while I was in labor is the joy that's set before me. And I just kept reminding myself that Jesus Christ endured suffering for the joy that was set before him. He sweated until the point, or he sweat blood. Like, he was in so much pain and agony that he sweat blood. And I was like, okay, if Jesus can sweat blood, then I can give birth, like, for the joy that was set before me. It was such a beautiful experience. I feel like with every birth that I have had, God spoke to me. He gave me revelation about what was happening through the birth of my children. I have never felt his presence in such tangible ways other than in these really intense moments with him, because in the middle of unmedicated childbirth, it really does feel like I'm not going to make it out of this alive or without Jesus Christ. And so just like leaning on him and having worship music on, in communion with him, and knowing that I am literally co-laboring with the creator of the universe in bringing forth creation. There's just something so beautiful about that to me. And I chose to have unmedicated childbirth to do that, to endure the joy that was set before me, to endure the suffering, to like co-labor and partner with God in his plan for creation. They've all been such beautiful experiences for me, having my children naturally and leaning only on the Lord's strength and only on his word and only in him being the only thing that I knew that was going to get me through this. And it's so good. I really do feel like personally it is an honor. It's an honor. It's an honor that we get to bring forth life. Like, there is no greater gift or greater privilege. Like, we get to co-labor with God in procreating. And it's so cool. It is just so amazing. And so I come into my births and my labors with a heart and an attitude and a mindset of like, I'm suffering for the joy that's set before me. It is going to be so joyful to give birth to these children and raise them. It is such an honor that I even get to do this. It is an honor and it is a privilege that I get to grow a human being and then birth them from my body. It is an honor and it is a privilege, and it's so beautiful. However your baby gets here, it's beautiful. It's beautiful that we get to grow children inside of our wombs and then bring them out to life. And so I just want to encourage you that you can do it, that your body was made for it. Do the research. Don't let anybody tell you different or talk you down. Our society is so used to we just do things the certain way that we do them, and that's just how we do them. And so it's hard to like rub against the grain a little bit and try something different or unusual. And I had a lot of lashback or a lot of unwanted feedback. And people saying, well, you know, if you have a hospital, why would you do it at home? And it's just like, we were created for this from the beginning of time, and in other countries, most women are having their babies at home because it's totally doable, and it's natural, and it's beautiful. It's like kind of one of those things that it's like, why go to the doctor if you're not sick? That's my opinion. So having your baby at home, it's a beautiful experience. Your midwife is a trained professional. They can handle any kind of situation. Interview them, do your research, and just know that you were made for this and that you can do this. So yeah, if you have any questions, you can leave me some comments and I'll get back to you. If you want to hear more of my stories or my testimonies or more about any of my labors, births, whatever, then you should subscribe to my channel, because I will be sharing more with you guys and more of my life, more of my testimonies, more of my labors, my birth stories in general. So you should subscribe. Also, I just want to touch on this aspect too. I had a water birth, and oh my goodness, it was so good. So another common thing is, like, even for me, when I was like really hesitant to not have a home birth, I was like, whoa, that's messy. I know what happens in a hospital, and at the hospital, literally, ladies, you know, if you've delivered and if you haven't, when you're delivering your baby, they literally pull a trash can underneath you. And so I was just like, I do not want to have a baby in my bed. Like, they pull a trash can underneath me, what's gonna happen? This is gonna be messy. I don't want to do that. But it actually wasn't that messy. So I had a water birth, so I can't really speak to anything, I don't know. So I delivered my baby, I had my baby, and literally the water was clear until I birthed the placenta, and then it was just like a little bit of blood, which is, you know, TMI, but whatever. If you're here and you're about this video, then whatever, you know. Anyways, so other than that as well, like, I was sitting on a birthing ball, and the midwives have like the same papers and the same things that are on a hospital bed to like change out if you need them to be. You buy a mattress protector if you decide you want to give birth at, you know, in your bed. You have extra sheets, mattress protector, all of the above. Literally, as you're like laboring and all of that, your midwife is like keeping things tidy. She's just not a mess everywhere. Also, my midwife and her assistant were at my house, or like after the birth, they were still there for hours, and they literally cleaned every single thing up. And I don't mean like yucky stuff or this or that. Honestly, I wouldn't know because I didn't see or clean anything. But they pack all their stuff back up, they clean everything, and they literally leave you with a tidy house. It looks like you never gave birth in there. And it's amazing. It is so amazing to like be in your own bed afterwards, take a nap or sleep, whatever, nurse your baby in your own room, in your own bed, take a shower in your own shower. You don't have a nurse coming in there every 5 seconds, or you're not hearing monitors beep, or they're not doing this or they're not doing that. You just get to sleep in your bed. Also, our families knew we were having a home birth, so we had people who were coming to like help with our kids, help with food and all of those things. And so I didn't really miss out on my vacation at the hospital because my family got to be involved, and they got to come see me, and they got to come see my baby and be in the room, and just all of the things, like be surrounded by your family in such a sweet and intimate time. And COVID-19 has taken that away from us. And so I would highly recommend and consider home births if you just have the right mindset and you know that you were created for this and you can do it, and you do your research and you find an amazing midwife. Now, if you're in the Houston area or surrounding Houston areas, in Bloom Midwifery, hands down, like the best. I've never experienced anyone else, but I wouldn't even ever want to. If I were to have 5 more kids, I would use them every single time. Anyways, home birth, I loved it. My only regret is that I did not have all 4 of my children at home. It was that good. It was that peaceful. It was that intimate. And I would do it all over again at home with all 4 of my babies if I could. And then back to water birth, like I said, that was such a beautiful experience. That's something as well that was different from hospital birth to home birth, is like when I birthed my baby and she came out and she was underwater, I was like about to yank her up because I'm like, oh my God, like she's underwater. And the midwife stopped me in my tracks and she was like, she's fine. Just let her, just let her be. And it was the coolest thing ever. Like I just held my baby and she was just underwater. Like she was born into the most peaceful environment. Like she wasn't born and then immediately screaming. Like she was in the water and she was just like she just still thought she was in the womb. And it was such a cool experience. And she was like, okay, now you can just like bring her up and just like put her on your chest. And so I brought her up and I put her on my chest, and it was so sweet. And she just was like on my chest, and she wasn't crying, and I was like, is she okay? Like, is she okay? And the midwife was like, she's fine, just give her time. Like, if there's anything in her throat, like she'll swallow it, like she still has color, she's fine. I was used to this, like, birth my baby and then they're immediately screaming and crying because they're being like messed with and suctioned and yanked and they're cold and all these things. And so I was like, she's not crying. And she was like, she's fine, like this is normal, this is like, she'll swallow anything that's in her mouth, she's fine, she still has color, she can breathe, like just hold her on your chest. And I sat in the pool with her and I held her on my chest probably for like 45 minutes, and I could have stayed there forever. She finally, like after a couple of minutes, let out a little like she just made like a little noise, and I knew that she was okay. And I would live that moment over every day if I could. It was just so sweet. And I held her on my chest, like I said, for like 45 minutes, and I just I didn't want to get up. It was so sweet. It was so intimate, and it was so peaceful. And she wasn't screaming, and she wasn't being messed with. She was just on me. And like, that's just where she belonged, is just on me. And it was like the most beautiful moment of my life. And so you should do it. And it is so beautiful. Birth is so beautiful. Child rearing is so beautiful. All of it is so beautiful. But man, that experience is like one that I will treasure forever and ever and ever and ever. So home birth versus hospital birth, home birth all the way. And that comes from a mom who had 3 hospital births. So you are equipped, you are strong, you are capable, you were made for this, your body was made for this, and you get to co-labor with the creator of the universe to procreate. And remember, when you're in it and you're in the pain and it feels unbearable and unimaginable, just remember Jesus. That Jesus suffered for the joy that was set before him, and you will too. The joy is worth it all. That's why as women we keep having children, because the pain is nothing compared to the joy that is set before you when you get to meet your baby for the very first time. So that's my experience. Those are my opinions. Home birth is beautiful, 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 and you should totally do it. So thank you for watching my video. Thank you for following my channel. You should subscribe if you want to hear more testimonies, more stories. If you want to see things that I do in the home with my kids, this is a home family design channel. And I'm just so excited to share my life with you guys. And I hope that you enjoy it, that you're encouraged, that you're refreshed, that you're inspired, and that you just flourish freely in your own life.
Sliding out. There you go. Perfect.